The invitation to my family's annual Christmas dinner arrived exactly as it had for the past 5 years, wrapped in expensive paper, dripping with condescension. Perhaps this year you'll have some actual business success to share, my sister Diana's handwritten note read. Though we won't hold our breath. I'm Daniel Foster, but my family barely acknowledges the connection these days. While my father runs Foster Industries, a Fortune 500 manufacturing company, and my sister manages their international expansion, I chose to start my own business, a decision they've mocked relentlessly since the day I left the family company. The truth they didn't know? My failed startup, Phoenix Solutions, had quietly become one of the most innovative manufacturing optimization firms in the industry. We just operated under a different name, one my family had never bothered to investigate. Standing outside my parents' mansion that Christmas Eve, I adjusted my deliberately modest suit, bought off the rack instead of custom-tailored like my father's. For 5 years, I'd maintained the appearance of struggling independence while building something revolutionary in secret. Danny, Diana's voice carried across the marble foyer, dripping with false warmth. Still driving that old Toyota? I thought surely you'd have upgraded by now. I smiled, thinking of the Tesla parked in my real office's private garage. It gets me where I need to go. Diana looked immaculate in designer clothes that probably cost more than what my family thought I made in a month. Behind her, my father was deep in conversation with the CEO of their largest competitor, Hamilton Manufacturing. Daniel, my father barely glanced my way. Your mother was beginning to wonder if you'd show up. Wouldn't miss it, I replied, catching snippets of their conversation about falling profit margins and increasing competition from overseas manufacturers. If only they knew that Phoenix Solutions, operating under our public name, Nexus Industries, was the reason their overseas competitors had suddenly become so efficient. So, Diana cornered me by the wine table. How's your little consulting business doing? Still helping mom and pop shops with their computers? I sipped my wine, remembering the contract I'd signed that morning. A $50 million deal to optimize manufacturing processes for one of the largest tech companies in Asia. Oh, getting by. Getting by, she repeated with a laugh. That's all you've been doing for 5 years, Danny. When are you going to admit this entrepreneurship fantasy isn't working out? Before I could respond, raised voices drew our attention to my father's conversation. The numbers don't lie, James, Hamilton's CEO was saying. Asian manufacturers are undercutting us all. They've implemented some kind of new optimization system that's revolutionary. If we don't find a way to compete, both our companies will be in serious trouble within 6 months. My father's face was tight with concern. I knew exactly what they were talking about. Phoenix Solutions had developed an AI-driven manufacturing optimization system that could increase efficiency by 40% while reducing costs by 30%. We'd licensed it to several Asian manufacturers under strict confidentiality agreements. There must be a solution, my father insisted. We've got the best consultants looking into it. I hid my smile behind my wine glass. Those consultants had already approached Phoenix Solutions, not knowing they were talking to the owner's failed son. James, my mother touched my father's arm gently. Perhaps we should discuss this after dinner. It's Christmas Eve. The conversation shifted to safer topics, but I could see the worry lines around my father's eyes. Foster Industries was in trouble, though they'd never admit it to me. Later, as everyone gathered in the dining room, I endured the usual barrage of subtle digs and condescending questions. Still working out of that tiny office downtown, my uncle asked, "When are you going to get a real job?" My cousin wondered. Diana added, "Father's still willing to give you a position at Foster Industries, even after you walked away." I pushed my food around my plate, thinking about the email I'd received just before dinner. Foster Industries stock had dropped another 15% that day. Their board was calling for emergency meetings. The company my grandfather had built, that my father had grown into an industry leader, was teetering on the brink of collapse. And their salvation sat right at their dinner table, eating overcooked turkey and swallowing their insults with practiced ease. My phone buzzed. A message from my actual office. Agent contract signed. Phase 2 ready to implement. Daniel, my father's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. At least put the phone away during dinner. Whatever small business crisis you're having can wait. I looked up, meeting his dismissive gaze. Actually, it's rather important. A major contract. Diana snorted. Major for you maybe, What is it? $1,000? Two. Something like that, I said quietly, thinking of the $50 million now sitting in Phoenix Solutions accounts. The dinner dragged on, but I kept catching fragments of worried conversation between my father and his business associates. Foster Industries was hemorrhaging contracts. Their manufacturing costs were too high, their processes too inefficient. They needed exactly what I'd spent 5 years building. After dessert, I found my father in his study, poring over financial reports. "Dad," I said from the doorway, "I might be able to help." He looked up, irritation crossing his face. "Daniel, I appreciate the offer, but Foster Industries' problems are beyond your experience level." "Are you sure? Because I know exactly why Asian manufacturers are outperforming you." That got his attention. "Oh, and how would you know that?" "Because I stopped as Diana burst into the study. "Father, Hamilton just called. They're announcing layoffs after the holidays. The whole industry is in panic mode." My father's face went pale. Hamilton Manufacturing had been the industry leader for decades. If they were laying off workers, "We need solutions, not interruptions," Diana snapped at me. "Go back to your little startup and leave the real business to us." I left without another word, but as I drove home that night, I made a decision. For 5 years, I hid my success, letting them believe I was struggling while building something revolutionary. Maybe it was time they learned the truth. In my real office, a penthouse suite downtown, I reviewed the latest projections. Foster Industries would be bankrupt within 6 months without our optimization system. Their outdated processes couldn't compete in the modern market. My phone lit up with another message from Diana. "I hope you're happy. While you've been playing businessman, our family's legacy is falling apart." I set the phone down next to the latest industry report, which featured Phoenix Solutions' CEO, listed only as DF. On the cover, praised as a visionary in manufacturing optimization. Tomorrow, Foster Industries board would hold an emergency meeting to discuss their options. They'd already reached out to every major consulting firm in the industry. There was only one company that could save them. Mine. And I was finally ready to show them exactly who they've been mocking all these years. The Foster Industries emergency board meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. the day after Christmas. I arrived early, not as Daniel Foster in his modest suit, but as DF, CEO of Phoenix Solutions, in a perfectly tailored Tom Ford ensemble that cost more than my sister's car. My executive team was already waiting in the lobby, all people who'd believed in my vision when I started with nothing but determination and an innovative algorithm. "Are you ready for this?" Sarah Chen, my COO, asked quietly. She'd been with me since the beginning, when we worked out of a tiny office above a Chinese restaurant. "I've been ready for 5 years," I replied, watching my father's Rolls-Royce pull up to the curb. The boardroom was packed when we entered. My father sat at the head of the table, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Diana hovered nearby, her usual confidence replaced by barely concealed panic. "Thank you for meeting with us on such short notice," my father began, not recognizing me in my CEO persona. "As you know, Foster Industries is facing unprecedented challenges." Alan finished his prepared speech about the company's history and importance to the industry. Finally, he got to the point. "We need Phoenix Solutions' optimization system. Your company has revolutionized manufacturing efficiency, and we're prepared to offer whatever licensing terms you require." I opened my laptop and projected our analysis onto the screen. Foster Industries is losing $2 million per day with your current processes. At this rate, you'll be bankrupt within 4 months, not 6 as your analysts predicted. Diana's sharp intake of breath told me my numbers had hit home. "However," I continued, "implementing our system would increase your efficiency by 40% and reduce costs by 30%. We've achieved similar results with manufacturers across Asia." "Name your price," one of the board members said. I stood up slowly. "Before we discuss terms, there's something you should know about Phoenix Solutions' ownership structure." "Is this really relevant?" Diana interrupted. "We need solutions, not corporate history." "Oh, I think you'll find this very relevant," I smiled, removing the colored contact lenses I'd worn to subtly alter my appearance. "Particularly you, Diana. And you, Dad." The room went silent as recognition dawned on their faces. "Danny?" Diana whispered, her designer purse slipping from nerveless fingers. "Actually, it's Daniel," I corrected her, "or DF, as unknown in the industry. You know, the CEO you've been trying to meet with for the past 3 months. My father's face had gone pale. This is impossible. Your company, you work out of that small office downtown. A front, I explained. Phoenix Solutions' real headquarters is in the Wilson Tower penthouse. That little consulting business you've been mocking. It's worth $4.2 billion as of this morning's market evaluation. Diana collapsed into a chair. All this time, when we were making fun of your startup, you were mocking the company that's now positioned to either save or destroy Foster Industries. I finished. Ironic, isn't it? The board members were whispering among themselves, some looking impressed, others concerned. Why? My father finally asked. Why hide your success? Why let us believe? Because I wanted to build something on my own merits, I said. Not as James Foster's son, but as my own person. And because watching you underestimate me was surprisingly motivating. I pulled up another slide, our standard contract terms. Now let's discuss how Phoenix Solutions can help Foster Industries survive the next decade. You're enjoying this, Diana accused, some of her old sharpness returning. No, I corrected her. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because despite everything, this company is still my grandfather's legacy. I won't let it fail if I can prevent it. The next 2 hours were intense. I laid out exactly how our optimization system would transform their manufacturing processes. The board members who had ignored me at countless family gatherings now hung on my every word. These terms are very generous, my father said finally, studying the contract. More generous than what you've offered other companies. Consider it a family discount, I replied, though I don't expect to be mocked at any more Christmas dinners. Diana laughed suddenly, a genuine laugh, not her usual condescending one. God, Daniel, we've been such fools. Yes, I agreed pleasantly, you have. As the board members filed out, my father remained behind. He looked lost, staring at the empire I built while he wasn't watching. I didn't see it, he said quietly. All these years I was so convinced I knew best, that the only path to success was following in my footsteps. Sometimes the best path isn't the obvious one, I replied, gathering my things. By the way, that old Toyota I drove to Christmas dinner, it belongs to my office manager. My actual car is the McLaren P1 in the parking garage. His eyebrows shot up. The green one? That's $1 million car. 1.2 million actually. I bought it the day Deanna told me I'd never amount to anything without the family name. The implementation of Phoenix Solutions system took 6 months. Foster Industries' stock price tripled. The manufacturing sector called it one of the greatest corporate turnarounds in recent history. I kept my small downtown office though. Sometimes I go there to remember how it all started. One person with a dream, fueled by determination and family doubt. Deanna stopped sending condescending Christmas invitations. Instead, she invited me to lunch, eager to learn how her little brother had revolutionized an entire industry. My father stepped down as CEO last month. The board unanimously voted to merge Foster Industries with Phoenix Solutions, with me as CEO of the combined company. You've exceeded every expectation I never had, he told me at the merger announcement. I'm sorry I didn't see your potential sooner. The old Foster Industries sign came down today. The new one reads Phoenix Foster Global. Below it, in smaller letters, is the company motto I chose. Success isn't inherited, it's earned. My sister sent me a text after seeing it. Subtle dig at the family there, little brother. Not a dig, I replied. Just a reminder that sometimes the person you underestimate the most becomes the person you need the most. The small office downtown? I kept it, converting it into an incubator for startup founders who, like me, have dreams bigger than their families can imagine. After all, nothing motivates quite like being underestimated. In my new office, I keep 2 photos on my desk. One shows me and Sarah in our original tiny office, surrounded by takeout containers and dreams. The other is from last year's Christmas dinner, the first where my family finally saw me for who I really am. Success, I've learned, isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. But watching their faces when they realize how badly they underestimated you, that's just a satisfying bonus.